My name is Ethan Carter, and I'm 18 years old, standing at the precipice of a narrative I never imagined I'd share. It's not a simple tale. It's raw, convoluted, and laden with emotions I'm still untangling. But I'm imparting it because it's not solely about me. It's about how affection, kinship, and decisions can intertwine in unforeseen ways, reshaping everything you believed you knew about yourself. This account addresses sensitive subjects: infidelity, blurred distinctions, and intricate familial dynamics. So if these are challenging for you, please prioritize your well-being. My hope is that by disclosing my truth, someone out there might feel less isolated in their own struggles. So let's revert to its genesis, to a period when existence seemed simpler before the lines between right and wrong began to blur. Growing up in a small town in Ohio, my mother, Lauren Brooks, was my entire universe. She was 38, a single mother with warm hazel eyes and a laugh that could illuminate a room. She'd nurtured me alone since infancy, dedicating every fiber of her being to ensure I felt cherished. We weren't merely mother and son, we were closest companions, confidants, partners in mischief. We'd spend hours watching vintage films, reciting lines, and giggling until our sides ached. Lauren was my sanctuary, the sole individual who made me feel like I belonged in a world where I often felt out of place. I wasn't like other children. I didn't possess a vast circle of acquaintances, and I was content with that. Home sufficed because she was there. Our closeness, however, wasn't typical, though I didn't perceive it then. We shared a bed until I was well into my teens, something that felt commonplace to me. At night, she'd tuck me in, her gentle voice soothing me as we conversed about everything: school, aspirations, apprehensions. Even as I matured, I'd crawl into her bed after a nightmare, and she'd embrace me until the world felt right again. She'd kiss me on the lips, not in an unusual manner, just quick, affectionate pecks like those seen in old family photographs. She'd hug me tightly, ruffle my hair, and tell me she loved me daily. To me, it was simply love, pure and unadulterated. Lauren was candid with me in a way most mothers weren't. She'd change in front of me without a second thought, stroll around in a t-shirt and undergarments, her comfort so innate it never seemed peculiar. She was simply Lauren, my mother, my everything. But as I reached my mid-teens, something shifted. I began noticing things I hadn't before: the way her hair cascaded over her shoulder when she laughed, the curve of her smile, the way her eyes sparkled when she looked at me. These weren't thoughts I desired, and they frightened me. I'd suppress them, convincing myself it was nothing, but they lingered like a specter. I recall one afternoon returning home from school to find her in the kitchen, stirring a pot of pasta. She wore a loose tank top and shorts, her hair in a disheveled bun. She appeared different, not just my mother, but a woman, vibrant, alive. My heart pounded, and I felt a pang of guilt so acute I turned away, feigning to grab a snack. I didn't comprehend what was transpiring within me, but I knew it wasn't appropriate. Then came the moment that irrevocably altered everything. It was a muggy summer day, and I needed to retrieve my toothbrush from the bathroom. Without deliberation, I pushed the door open and froze. Lauren was emerging from the shower, completely unclothed, a towel in her hand but not yet wrapped around her. For a fleeting second, time stood still. I saw her, truly saw her, in a way I never had before. My pulse throbbed, my face flushed, and my mind went blank. I should have averted my gaze, but I didn't. I simply stood there, staring, until she noticed me. "Ethan," she gasped, startled but not angered, swiftly covering herself. She chuckled, her voice light. "Knock next time, okay, kiddo?" I mumbled an apology and bolted, my heart pounding so vehemently I thought it might burst. That image seared itself into my consciousness, and no matter how diligently I tried, I couldn't dislodge it. Worse, it stirred something within me: confusion, culpability, and a sensation I couldn't articulate, something ominous and illicit. After that, I couldn't regard her in the same manner. I'd catch myself observing her when she wasn't looking, my eyes tracing her movements. I'd hear her laugh with her boyfriend, Caleb Turner, and feel a surge of jealousy so intense it terrified me. Caleb was in his early 40s, charming on the surface but aloof, the kind of man who articulated all the right sentiments but never followed through. Lauren merited better, and I detested how he made her feel solitary, even in his presence. My emotions intensified, becoming more intricate, and I began avoiding her, secluding myself in my room or spending time with my closest friend, Jasper Lee. Jasper was 18, loyal and impetuous, the one person who truly understood me. We'd spend hours playing video games or clandestinely consuming beers by the creek. But even with him, I couldn't disclose what was consuming me. How do you inform your best friend you're experiencing feelings for your mother? So I suppressed it, hoping it would dissipate. It didn't. Culpability was stifling, but so was the allure. One night, lying in bed, my thoughts drifted to her. Before I knew it, I was touching myself, her image imprinted in my mind. The shame struck like a tidal wave afterward, but the cycle recurred. Guilt, promises to cease, then the thoughts returning stronger. I felt as though I was losing control, ensnared in a vortex I couldn't escape. Then came the night that shattered everything. It was a Friday, and Lauren and I were on the couch watching some cheesy romantic comedy. She leaned against me, her head on my shoulder, her warmth and the fragrance of her lavender shampoo overwhelming. I tried to concentrate on the screen, but my mind was racing. When the movie concluded, she stretched, yawning. "I'm heading to bed." "You coming?" she inquired, her voice casual. I nodded, though every instinct screamed to remain distant. I didn't trust myself, but I couldn't decline. In her room, she changed into her customary sleepwear, a t-shirt and undergarments, unperturbed, while I averted my gaze, my heart pounding. We climbed into bed, the darkness enveloping us. I lay there, tense, her breathing soft beside me. I don't know what possessed me, perhaps the silence, the proximity, the weight of everything I'd been suppressing. But I reached out, my fingers brushing her arm. She didn't stir, so I continued, my hand trembling as it traced her back, then her waist. My pulse roared in my ears, and I knew I should desist, but I couldn't. I pressed closer, my body against hers, her warmth propelling me to a place I couldn't retreat from. I slid my hand beneath her shirt, touching her skin, then higher until I reached her breast. She stirred, emitting a soft moan, and I froze, expecting her to repel me. Instead, she turned toward me, her eyes half open. "Ethan," she whispered, her voice thick with slumber. I was terrified, but I couldn't stop. "Shh," I murmured, my voice trembling. "It's okay, Mom." She looked at me, her gaze searching. Then, to my astonishment, she reached up, touching my face. "It's early," she mumbled. "I've got work soon." I started to withdraw, but she halted me, her hand on my arm. "No," she whispered, "it's okay. Keep going." Those words demolished every barrier. I leaned in, kissing her softly, then more ardently, and she reciprocated, her hands entwined in my hair. It was like a dam breaking, all the forbidden emotions gushing forth. That night, we traversed a boundary we could never uncross. What began as a moment of frailty became something neither of us could undo. The next morning, I awoke feeling as though I'd been struck by a truck. My head spun, my stomach churned, and the burden of what we'd done crushed me. Lauren was already awake, preparing for work. She offered me a quick smile, told me to have a good day, acting as if nothing had occurred. But it had. I couldn't stop replaying it, the way she'd looked at me, the way she'd whispered those words. Guilt clawed at me, but so did desire, and I didn't know how to reconcile the two. We never discussed it, not that day, not ever. It was like an unspoken pact to feign it didn't happen. But pretending didn't erase it. I avoided her again, remaining in my room or out with Jasper. But every time I saw her, the tension was palpable, a silent current between us. Lauren changed too. She was quieter, more distant, especially with Caleb. Their once effortless relationship grew strained. She'd recoil when he touched her, fabricate excuses to avoid him. I could discern the fissures, and I knew I was the cause. Caleb noticed too, his frustration mounting. One night, I overheard them arguing in the living room. "What's going on with you, Lauren?" he demanded, his voice taut. "You've been distant for weeks. Is something amiss?" Nothing's wrong, she asserted, but her voice wavered. I'm just tired. Tired? Caleb scoffed. This isn't tiredness. You're concealing something. What is it? The argument escalated, and I couldn't endure listening any longer. My heart pounded, knowing this was my fault. Jasper started perceiving my mood too. One afternoon, while we were playing video games at his place, he paused the game. Dude, what's up with you? He inquired, his eyes narrowing. You're zoned out all the time, avoiding everyone. Talk to me. I yearned to tell him, but the words wouldn't emerge. It's just family matters, I mumbled. He didn't believe it but didn't press, merely stating, I'm here if you need me, man. I nodded, but the truth was too burdensome to divulge. I felt as though I was drowning, the culpability and apprehension consuming me. The breaking point arrived weeks later. Caleb's suspicions had escalated to a fever pitch, and one night their argument erupted. I was in my room when I heard his voice, sharp and irate. I'm not foolish, Lauren. Something's happening, and I deserve to know what. Lauren's voice cracked. I can't keep pretending everything's okay when it's not. What does that signify? Caleb pressed. There was a lengthy pause, then Lauren's voice, barely a whisper. It's Ethan. Something happened between us, and I don't know how to rectify it. My heart ceased beating. Hearing her articulate, it made it real in a way I wasn't prepared for. Caleb's voice turned frigid. Are you asserting what I believe you're asserting? Lauren didn't respond, but her silence sufficed. I couldn't remain. I grabbed my jacket and slipped out, wandering aimlessly for hours, my mind a tempest of panic and remorse. When I arrived home, the house was quiet. Caleb was gone, and Lauren sat on the couch, her eyes red from weeping. She looked up, and for a moment we simply stared at each other. I'm sorry, I choked out, my voice breaking. She stood, pulling me into a tight embrace. I'm sorry too, she whispered. We held each other, both crying, but I knew nothing would ever be the same. Truth was exposed, and there was no turning back. In the aftermath, everything unraveled. Caleb and Lauren separated, a painful but necessary conclusion. She and I commenced therapy separately at first, then together. It was arduous, peeling back the layers of what transpired, why it transpired. Our therapist assisted us in comprehending that our closeness, while rooted in affection, had blurred boundaries in detrimental ways. She discussed consent and healthy relationships, elucidating that sexual boundaries are paramount, especially within families. She stated, sexual attraction can sometimes be conflated with emotional closeness, but acting on it in inappropriate relationships can inflict profound harm. Consent implies both individuals are fully cognizant, equal in power, and at liberty to decline without fear. Anything less is unacceptable. Those words resonated deeply, making me perceive how our actions, even in that moment of shared vulnerability, transgress lines that should have been sacrosanct. Therapy also instructed me about grooming, not intentional in our instance, but how constant physical proximity and an absence of boundaries can engender perplexity. I learned that sexual education isn't merely about biology, it's about comprehending emotions, power dynamics, and respect. I wish I'd possessed this knowledge sooner, but I'm thankful I'm acquiring it now. Lauren and I are rebuilding, not as mother and son in the former manner, but as two individuals who care deeply and aspire to heal. It's a gradual, chaotic process, but it's worthwhile. I'm still discerning my identity. I'm back in school, relying on Jasper, who's been a steadfast support even without knowing the complete narrative. I'm striving to forgive myself, to believe I'm more than my missteps. This story isn't effortless to share, but it's crucial. It's a reminder that affection can be intricate, that boundaries are significant, and that we all make decisions we regret. But it's also evidence that we can evolve from them. If you're grappling with similar emotions, please don't remain silent. Speak to a trusted friend, a counselor, or a helpline. You're not alone, and there's always a path forward. If this story resonated with you, hit that subscribe button for Broken Vows. We delve into genuine, unvarnished accounts about love, family, and redemption every week. Share your thoughts in the comments. What would you have done in my position? Your support sustains this channel, and I'd be delighted to have you join us. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.